Anywhere you would want your mates to be in real life.
We are your mates.
Hey, this is Your Mates. I am Scott Hughes.
And I am Jack Bingham. And as you said, it's Your Mates podcast.
This is Your Mates. We've got manager Lachlan.
Yes, you do.
Doing all the managerial things, looking
Always.
out for us.
Keeping it timed, keeping it legal, just keeping us on track in general. You've heard the B-sides. They're not as... They're loose.
They're a bit rough.
We're lost.
They're rough. But we're back. We got the team. We got the team manager, and we're good to go. We're feeling it.
I just thought I'd kick off with the topic,
Beautiful.
as we always do. So I don't know why it's any different.
No, it's great. It's great.
Oh, we didn't say. Sorry, your mates. Bring the podcast wherever you want your mates to be.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah.
I hope that this isn't too specific to Australia. Well, it is, but hopefully, everyone else in the world can understand that we have a kind of range of grocers in Australia. The big two being Coles and Woolworths. And then, how would you, just out of curiosity, Scott? So obviously Coles and Woolworths, we'll just put them at number one.
Yeah. Number 3.
And that's just size-wise, they're just doing the most revenue. They're giant. There's millions of them around the place.
Yep.
Just give me a bit of a list of maybe what the next 2 or 3 are, if you can think of any.
Yeah, I've got to go. It's probably close. Aldi's really coming in strong at the moment.
Yeah, I would say Aldi for sure for the 3.
Everyone's appreciating it, but I would say maybe a bit more rural Australia would appreciate IGAs more. I don't know.
Yep.
But IGA is another big one. They're smaller shops traditionally. However, I think they're just in little pockets of areas that don't have big shopping centres.
You're right. And
IGA, Independent Grocer Australia, I think.
Right. And I did, because the IGA is what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
I think you're right with at least 2 out of the 3 words in that IGA bit.
Okay.
Can you quickly look that up? Because I think what happened, because I don't want to rag on IGA, because I think what happened is a lot of small grocers that were independently ran got taken over by IGA, but I feel like it kind of kept a lot of jobs and kept a lot of things running when the bigwigs came to town.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, first and foremost, IGA, to everyone that doesn't know, much smaller, definitely not kind of as efficient, and as they're not the quality you get at the other ones. But
yeah, mate, possibly. A lot of the product is similar. Often the prices are more expensive because they don't buy in as much bulk, I would assume.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much the crux of it all.
Yeah.
And
because they're smaller, the ranges are smaller as well.
But also kind of less staff, less, I don't want to kind of, again, like I said, I don't want to rag, but probably not quite as clean.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I mean, I've got a local one, which is pretty new.
Yeah.
Which is where I live. And it's great. Actually, the staff are really friendly. People, I've rarely had to queue up. Maybe, again, because actually, thinking about most of my IGA experiences, I don't think I've ever had to queue up for long. Might not be saying much about the efficiency of the staff, but...
All right, well, that's that topic. Anyway, what have you got, Scotty?
No.
That's pretty well under right. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, really? No.
Did you get the IGA thing, manager?
Yeah. It stands for Independent Grocers Association.
Right.
And it's actually...
Association, okay.
An Australian branch of an international American-based thing.
Wow. All right. Well, the US listeners, you might also understand what we're saying.
Talking about.
But anyway...
Sorry, what were you
well, the thing is about them is that I guess what we've proven is they're inconsistent. Because if I told you about Audi lines, you would say quick. If we talk about Coles and Woolies,
but stressful. I'll throw
it
that
is
word
stressful. That's true. But they've got their thing going, and I'll tell you what, it is the same every time. And Coles and Woolies, not quicker, but they've got at least 10 to 15 self-serves, which is usually very quick.
Yeah.
Something you don't get at the IGA. So what I basically want to say is I get why they're not they're not kind of growing at the same. They're not kind of got the same speed, the same pace, and that's because I was at the IGA. I was at my local one recently, which has the same setup as your local one, but at this point in time it was a lot busier. Or it was actually, you know what? It wasn't even that busy, but there was probably 3 people at the checkout while I was there, and so what happened is the first guy goes through. No worries. There's one person at the register, and that's it. And there's 3 people shopping. Second person does their kind of shopping or whatever. No worries. They go out. I would be next in line, you would assume. But the person that's at the counter is also running the like kind of cigarette bar kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the alcohol section.
And the liquor, which is just a separate thing.
Liquor, that's right. Yeah. So what happened is that I had already lined up because the person that I had was not fast. I'll just say that much. Okay. And then they've done the 2. I've waited a fair while already. Yeah. And then as I've come up for my go, someone's come up to go to the kind of health like the kind of it's not health at all. The service center, whatever that desk is at the front.
The help.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And they wanted some cigarettes.
Right.
So the person's just gone over to serve them. And I was like, all right, well that's more or less quick.
Yeah.
So they did that, and then this counter is like got 3 sides to it.
Yeah.
And then another person comes up with alcohol on the other counter, and so she kind of follows around to that other one.
Right.
Before it comes back to me.
Right.
And so
I thought you were the 3rd, end up being the 6th, 5th.
6th.
Wow.
5th.
Yeah.
You're right, 5th.
Wow.
But all I'm saying is, I feel like because of what we talked about at the start, it kind of like, I do understand it, but at the same time, you got to sort that out. You got to sort that system out.
Okay.
Because that's going to be, they do have that, I don't know if they're really anyone's first choice to go to the IGA, unless it's really convenient.
That's where they capitalise convenience.
But the only convenience is really location.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it costs a bit more. You really don't know what products you're going to get. It's an inconsistent kind of thing. And staffing might be a problem. And also, this is the next one. You need to just go one counter. Because even if that guy wants cigarettes or whatever, I reckon he should just line up behind everyone else.
Yeah, he needs to go back through.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, okay. So we can't really bring it down to, I just mean like, I feel like you nailed it when you said inconsistency.
Yeah, inconsistency. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you're getting at IGA, and I think that's what might be holding them back a bit.
Yeah. So IGA, we want you to blossom. If you're listening, anyone higher up, maybe take on this feedback and just try and streamline your approach to shops. Yeah. Your shops.
Just downsize your desks to single, to your counters, or chuck an extra staff member on to cover those other 2.
Beautiful.
Really, I guess what I'm hoping for here is that one of our listeners has had a similar experience, or multiple, and they're listening on thinking, yeah, that's right, you guys have nailed it.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess I didn't think about the longevity of the topic.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, we talked.
It was a complaint that's done and dusted. Actually, it was a complaint, but it was also a room for improvement for them.
Yeah,
like we gave them a really good option. Yeah, constructive.
It's constructive.
That's true.
All right, cool. I've got something.
Yeah,
I got something, and it actually came about as I was away, more or less on a camping trip. Actually, a couple of weeks ago from now. Great time, great people, food was excellent, great location, all around good. But one thing happened which was at first alarming, but then this is what I want to bring up, maybe not so bad. Okay? And that was that I woke up, and as I was, I'm in my tent by myself, single tent, whatever.
Good.
Cleaning up. It's just like a one-person tent.
Why weren't you with your wife?
Oh, no, she wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, work-related.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And, so I was away, woke up, cleaning it. It was like the last day, cleaning out. And actually the day before I noticed, I had this random little bleed from my leg, right?
Okay.
Just above the ankle. Nothing major, but there's like a bit of dry blood there.
Okay.
And as we know, leeches are a possible thing in the bush.
That's what first came to my head, is that you've been leeched.
Yeah, but there wasn't a leech on it. Pants looked in great nick. Anyway, moved on. That was the day prior.
What do you mean your pants looked great?
Well,
They're not going through your pants.
Well,
hold
that thought. Hold that thought.
Okay.
So, anyway, next day, cleaning up the tent, found like actually a surprisingly big patch of blood. Not sure why it was on the ground, but possibly from the leg. Don't know. But then cleaned up, saw a big leech. And I'm going to say this is my attacker. Okay?
Right. Can I ask, because I have seen leeches before, but I don't, does a big leech just mean it's long? Or when they drink blood, do they get like round?
Yeah,
they get fat?
Round, yeah. I mean, they kind of squirm around quite, they change their shape a bit, but you know it's had some blood by the thickness.
Because I think I've only seen probably a starved leech.
Yeah, well,
like
I would
really
say traditionally we're talking maybe 1.5 centimetres kind of thing.
Yeah, and only the same roundness as a worm, like
a
couple of mil.
Not that big. But this fella, we're talking easy 5 centimetres.
Oh.
And at the fattest point, I reckon 1 centimetre fat round.
Finger size.
Basically, finger.
That's
like top part of the finger.
That is big.
That's a
definitely
big
fat.
Yeah, and so that's what I mean. I reckon it's had 1, if not 2, goes at me over the 2 nights, right?
Wow.
Because it was 2 nights that it must have happened. Anyway. Firstly,
that's
like I originally said, creepy, alarming, all that jazz. But then I started to hear a bit more about the leech as a creature from one of our guides. He's kind of saying, and maybe Lachlan, maybe as I speak, you can do a bit of a fact check on leeches, and just maybe see if any of these facts are true. But this is my understanding. This is what I was explained, what happens in the process. So leeches, firstly, they can bite, and apparently they can burrow through leather.
Leather. I thought you were gonna say the flannelette for your pajama pants or jeans.
I had jeans on at the time.
But you're saying they can get through leather.
Apparently, this is what I'm hearing.
Right.
Okay, so this is why we need some fact checking.
Okay.
Can go through leather. They can burrow through leather. But what happens is they attach, but what they do is they give you an antiseptic. No, they don't. They give you
a numbing thing.
Anesthetic.
Anesthetic. Yeah, so it numbs you.
So it numbs you. So that firstly you get bitten, you don't even know because you've had this anesthetic.
I've heard that before.
Lachlan can agree.
Considerate or sneaky?
Yeah. Well, this is where we're going.
Okay.
Right? So first they do that. Then they put something in your blood, apparently. This is what I'm hearing, remember? They put something in your blood which actually stops it from clotting.
Yeah.
So it runs so they can suck it out quicker.
Right.
And then, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it just runs out or they put something back in which clots your blood again. I don't know if it's like after the time.
You up.
And basically they clot it up again. And then I guess the anaesthetic wears off. Like I said, I woke up, didn't even notice it. Didn't even notice that I was bitten. And just saw the dry blood. So where I'm getting with this...
I know exactly where you're going with this because you're the nicest dude in the whole world. And you're about to say that you're happy to do the leech a favour, aren't you?
Well, not specifically, but really, like everyone hates the idea of leeches.
Yeah.
But are they really that bad? I mean, ticks are bad. They do bad stuff.
They'll poison you in your skin, in your blood.
Yeah. But leeches, I mean, they're doing a clean job.
Yeah.
What they want is your blood, and apparently they do it in a very clean manner. They get in, they don't make it hurt for you, take what they need in a what should be clean way, and then get out.
Yeah, and I guess it's something that you do get back over time.
What's the harm?
That's true.
So this is actually on the screen as well.
Yep.
But in the Middle Ages, they used to use them for medicine.
Right.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have heard that before.
So they suck the bad something out of your blood.
Yeah, well, like if you're poisoned or if there's like venom in your skin or there's like infected, maybe they put a leech on, try and take the bad blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So when people say, why were leeches even created?
Medicinal
Purposes. God can come back with a great answer and say, yeah, for the medication while you didn't have surgeons.
Right. I just did
good ones.
I just did a quick search myself, just really quick, just to see. I actually basically tried to lead the witness of Google, and I said, "Are leech bites dangerous?"
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say, yes, they can be very unhygienic, et cetera, et cetera.
Like mozzies.
Cause infection.
Like mozzies, basically. What have you
Google,
got?
Google says that they're completely harmless.
They're actually good for you.
So, no, it didn't say good for you, but it did say harmless, which does make me... I mean, I do see what you're saying. What I'm trying to think about right now is like a bit of a human equivalent, right? So this is what I'm thinking of, your body being like your home and a robber coming in, but they pick the lock clean, just jump in, and what I'm just trying to think...
This is what they do, because this experience happened to me this week. They take your bottles that can now be recycled here in Newcastle, Australia, from your bin, like they pull it in, reach out of your bin and take your bottles that you'd already thrown in the bin.
Yep.
They'll go into the tip, not in a recycling bin.
And they leave. It's not... That's a really good analogy.
Because that happened to us this week.
Oh, the bottle thing happened?
Not into the house, obviously, but
Yeah.
our bins were wheeled out at the place we were staying.
The human equivalent of a leech. Completely harmless, but I'll say scary to observe.
Yeah,
Scary to
because he
observe.
was like, his head was in our bin. His arm and his head was in our bin, grabbing this out. And
Which is illegal and also
illegal.
but scary.
A little bit scary. I mean, to me, it's not where we live, so we didn't have any none of our mail was in there. I think that's the scariest thing.
I guess. But for me,
they know
that
your
would freak
address,
me
don't
out
they?
was, yeah, that's true. But to me, the thing that is freaky, I just have like a thing about people being kind of like on my property or like I just feel like you have this one space that you kind of own and someone's just decided they can jump in on it. Like if someone did a lap around your backyard, they're not doing any harm, but it's weird. You think,
It's a little,
I don't
little
really
bit
want you to be
leech-like,
there.
if you will.
Yeah, really leech-like. But what they're doing, they just go and pick up some
But
sticks
really
off the ground.
harmless.
Yeah. So I think that it's best we just let it. We just leave it up to the opinion of the listeners.
I get, and if we are going back to like our I guess judgment of the animal kingdom, I reckon a leech needs to go a bit higher than what we currently rate it as.
Yeah, and
I think actually, do you know what? I think sometimes it gets its bad rap is when people try and pull leeches off and they're burrowed in. They get a pretty firm grip and they can do some damage on the way out.
And that's
if
scary
not
too,
done
really.
properly.
That was my experience with a leech.
Okay, sorry.
Because I just looked down.
Yeah.
It was just on my ankle and it freaked me out. So I just went to rip it off.
Yeah.
Because they're slimy,
Mm.
you can't pull them off.
So did it hurt you when you pulled it off?
I don't think I could pull it off. I think I had to get a
Yeah.
lighter and burn it off.
Remember, these things
wow.
can potentially burrow through leather.
That's
so
true.
they've got a good
about
grip.
that, I've
Yeah.
only seen things about burrowing through clothing like socks and stuff.
Okay, so
Yeah,
leather's
but-
still on the
Leather.
maybe.
Check your facts.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, some humans can rip through phone books, most can't. So let's just run with that with the leech world.
Okay. We got some whole plot leeches out there.
No, I hear what you're saying. And it feels like a really well justified point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Well, we did talk about bins a second ago.
Yeah.
That's what I'm using as a segue
Yeah.
into a listener message that's come in
Mm-hmm.
way back from, I believe, episode 1.
Hey.
We talked about the bin war.
That
was at my
bin
house.
war.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was just a little recap. Jack actually had some. He was in the middle of a war basically, where his bins would be taken from the collective pickup point because he lives in amongst lots of units and
Yeah.
houses,
That's the townhouses.
and his bin would get stolen and then magically return, and then there's a whole bunch of swapping around. It was a war.
It was definitely a Cold War. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was real. It was
It's through
happening.
winter, so yeah.
But yeah, but not aggressive, unless not from me at least. But yeah, it definitely was happening. So anyway, we got a response from that, and I guess it's just about bin etiquette in general. And so, listener of ours,
Etiquette.
I think I'm gonna hide her name.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
fine.
just in case
Yeah.
it's got back.
Yeah.
But basically, what she said is that it's a second house that they've rented, and and where they had to share bins. So they're sharing bins with another, I assume, either another renter
Really?
or someone that's on the same property. So maybe they're like
Not
in a
a
granny
roommate.
flat situation. Maybe a roommate,
Okay.
but they're sharing bins.
Okay.
Maybe the rest will reveal. I'll just read it out.
Okay.
We go through lots of recycling and because the red recycle bin is fortnightly, so the main that's not. Who says recycling? Because the red and recycle bin is fortnightly.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. That run.
Yeah.
Our recycling is usually overflowing to the point where there's excess after the truck picks it up. Do you think it is? Do you think it's a first come first serve basis, or should you fill to a thoughtful level for your fellow neighbour? So I guess what she's saying is that the recycle bin is the one that gets picked up fortnightly in that place, in that situation.
Yeah.
And in that fortnight, because it's being shared, it's getting filled up to the point where it overfloweth.
Wow.
So I guess that's a good point. That's a good question.
So do you feel it if you know you've got a big load and you've done like already half? Do you stop there, or do you just, because you're the first in, best dressed, do you just take advantage of the bin space?
I guess. Look, this is what I'll say, listener.
I've got an answer as well.
Okay. Well,
Yes. We've got a triple threat answer.
all right. Well, I'll keep mine short and sweet, and then you guys can present or add to.
Yes.
I think it has to come. I think you need to just kick off initially with a conversation because it sounds like it's happening consistently.
Yeah, that's civil.
So what I would say, it sounds like yours, mate. What I would say is you just need to basically state your claim and say, look, we're going through half a bin. So we guarantee you that we will use the half bin. That's our half of the deal. Your half is you have to only use the other half. And anything on top of that, it's your problem.
Okay. Here's my idea.
All right.
So you put a fair bit in, but not quite up to halfway.
Okay.
So you put a fair bit in, get the ball rolling in terms of the use of the recycling bin. I know it's a bit more effort, but then I believe what the approach might be is to put, lots in, maybe each night. So you're kind of giving the other person a chance to use the recycling space.
Yeah, I like that.
But if it happens that you've got 4 nights in a row and they're not using the space, then you can, after the 4 nights, you've got a good chunk of your pile, your backup pile gone through. And then maybe if it comes up that they're not happy that you've actually used more than half the bin, then you can come back to a conversation.
Yeah, I like it. And I think that just to add on top of that, and then manager would need to, you'll probably trump us all. Yeah. But I think that what we need to do is just put a blanket on that, which is maybe, so a week is it's a fortnight.
It's a fortnight, yeah.
First week, you definitely can't go over the halfway in the first week.
Yeah.
Like that's a flat out. Yeah, first week, you definitely can't pass halfway. Yeah. Second week, that's when you start doing what you're saying. And you've got to go in small increments, basically, because you've got to give them the opportunity to fill up.
I like it.
But you can't just chuck in the increments from the start because you might fill it up in the first week.
Manager?
Well, I do agree with parts of both of your
theories.
Yeah.
Finish
it off.
We've got a similar situation
Ice
where
the cake.
there's like 2 living spaces with the 1 set of bins.
Right.
Oh, you do. You're alive. You're a perfect example.
You can talk from experience.
So,
like us.
I do agree with the half thing. Like you got to kind of split half, but again, just have the conversation. Just about, we got a ton of rubbish this week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
and if
it's not going to be like that every week, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bit of open comms.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like the other people have like young kids and stuff, so they obviously going to have a fair bit of rubbish.
Right. Yeah.
So we tend to just cop it and do the bin hop on the night of the bin pickup or whatever.
I like it.
Yeah. So I'll often make sure the bin's empty on that night before it gets picked up in the morning, and I'll just dump it in someone else's.
Nice.
Which is a pretty good. Like, I mean, that's just very passive of you to do that. Not passive. That sounds like.
Yeah.
But you're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
By doing
Do
that.
not like conflict.
You know.
No.
That's right. That's right. And also, I should say maybe the situation, because if it was flipped and you guys were the ones that were using more, you know, who's to say that either one of you should be the one that has to do the bin run though? So the bin, as in like the bin hop.
Yeah.
So
Really, this has sparked a whole another stream of thoughts because I could keep going. Really, like you've got remember the old school dividers that used to be like throw cartons in one side, glass bottles in the other. Wonder if you get one of those back in there and you've got half each. Like that could be an option. I don't know.
that is good, but like you were saying, imagine if 1 week you filled yours up and you've got a heap of rubbish sitting there, and they've got next to nothing in theirs.
Leaking some over.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's overflowing into your side. But the other great point the manager brought up is like on bin night, obviously next morning, the garbage bin's about to come out, collect.
Yeah.
Go to town on it.
Is it fine to go up and down the street and use the available bin space?
Well,
or is that leech-like behaviour?
that's what they call a bin leech. But well, we do that often. Rennie and I find ourselves doing exactly that often. I don't know why we have so much recycling because there's only 2 of us, and it's not the red bins, it's the recycling. You know,
it's a good thing though. Recycling's good.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess it's just like I bought like a computer recently, and there was maybe like 6 boxes plus all this like styrofoam and stuff.
Yeah.
So like there's heaps of stuff that we had to kind of split up into the bins.
Yep.
And a few times we've definitely done a multi-bin drop.
Bit of a hop around.
I guess it's just one of those things. I really like the day system. I think to summarise, let's just quickly put it into a 2-week. You've got a 2-week time period. First week, neither party goes over halfway. You're not allowed. Doesn't matter how much you've got sitting in your house. You cannot go over halfway. Second one, it's basically like you've got, so that's 50%. So what have you got? You got another 50%.
Yep.
Split into 2, 25 each. 5-ish days.
Yeah.
5% per day.
Per person?
I don't know.
Per party, yeah.
But I guess like you can just chuck a little bit in.
Yeah.
And once it's full, you technically should have equal left if you both have something left.
Should be about full. And then you do the bin hop to finish.
And whatever you got left, that's on you because you've done an even job.
Yeah.
And you've both, that's what it is. You won't have equal left over, but you'll have equal in the bin. No, maybe not.
Well, anyway, we'll wrap it up. I was just going to, like, if someone has more recycling, they're not using their space, you can fill the other person's space. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Okay, that little listener topic came along.
I hope that summary cleared things up.
Doesn't sound like it did.
But anyway, listen back through, take some notes. There was some good stuff in there.
That's the Your Mates podcast. Jump on our Instagram, Jack and Scott. 3 words, no spaces, no underscores, nothing fancy, no dots.
Yeah.
Jack and Scott, chuck us a message if you relate to any of those things. I believe this is the same episode we talked about the IGA.
Yeah.
And what was the thing the leeches. So anything along those lines, hit us up. Let us know. Anything new.
If you got some constructive feedback or some other praise reports for the leech.
Yep. If anyone wants to chuck out an Excel spreadsheet about how to do the bin thing, because we can't work it out, send that to us. That'd be awesome.
You want to crunch the numbers, do the math. That'd be great.
Paragraphs.
We appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We're your mates.
We've been great.
We've been great.